Long time ago.
Hello, everyone. I'm John Zerlo. On my right is Dr. John Southwick. On my left is middle school principal at Northeastern Clinton Central School, Tom Brandell. We are at Northeastern Clinton Central School this morning in an effort to show everyone some memorabilia that was uncovered by Tom Brandell as the elementary schools closed, Champlain School closed, Rouse's Point School closed, and we wondered what happened to all the memorabilia, what happened to the trophies, what happened to the baseballs.
Rouse's Point had the people and the influence to keep their school open. We did not.
Oh, we're getting political.
Sorry about that, but I can't get over that. I'm sorry.
But anyway, the Rouse's Point Elementary building certainly still goes, but it was a high school, and Champlain Elementary was a high school. And in 1956, Rouse's Point and Champlain became Champlain Central School. And in 1956-57 school year, 57-58 school year, 58-59 school year, the students in Champlain stayed in the Champlain School, and the students in Rouse's Point stayed in the Rouse's Point School. The new school on Route 276 was built and readied for the 59-60 school year. So meanwhile, when the Rouse's Point High School closed and Champlain High School closed, there was a lot of memorabilia, trophies, baseballs, and plaques, and where did they go? Tom Brandell, the middle school principal here at Northeastern Clinton Central School, uncovered a lot of these, and that's why we're here today to talk about some of this memorabilia, to bring back some memories of the 40s, 50s, 60s, and so on. So I'm going to turn it over to Tom Brandell, and he can tell you just how we came upon some of this memorabilia.
Thank you, John and John. About a year ago, I was down in the basement. Just beyond us, where we're filming right now, is the old basement to the school, where a lot of our records are kept, tests, vital records, and so I needed to go down there, and it's a dungy, dark, typical basement, and it's probably part of the old school, since we're really in the old school right now from 59 and 60, as you said, John. And while I was down there, in some of the partitions, I pulled out a plaque, and we have the plaque here, and I know John is going to talk about it in a few moments. And it said, as I looked at it, in recognition of outstanding student, and I noticed in one particular plaque, or one of the pieces said John Harold Zerlo. So I knew right away that would be important to John, so I made a trip down to the county court office and had an opportunity to talk to John, and so he went on and told me much about the plaque and the people who had won and the people before him and the people after him. Very interesting. And then he asked me, where are all the old trophies, Tom? And I said, I don't know. And he said, well, there was a lot. Champlain Elementary was very successful in sports before me and after me, and we had the most beautiful trophy case with baseballs and plaques and recognition awards. We don't know where they've gone. And so I said, you know what? Let me look sometime. And so that was probably close to a year ago. And maybe about a month ago, I was down in the basement again, and I happened to be looking, and I pulled out, well, let me back up. A trophy came out of the basement from one of our secretaries, and it kind of tickled my interest. Where did you get the trophy? She said, I found it in the basement, and it was from 1951-52, and obviously it's one of the ones over here. And so I took a picture of the trophy and emailed it to Calvin, and put some of the names on the from the trophy on the email, and he said, that's fascinating. If you can find any more, let me know. And I basically said I would look, and he did say, if you find some old baseballs. We've been looking for baseballs for years, and I think you mentioned something about baseballs. So back down to the basement I went in the back, and I found some boxes, and I opened up the boxes, and lo and behold, here come some trophies. So I start putting them down in the aisle down there, and I have suddenly discovered that this is going to be more than a 5-minute operation, so I stopped. And I found one more box that wasn't quite full, and I took that box out, and I shook it, and I'm not making this up, as they would say, and I looked inside and there was 2 baseballs. And one baseball had Randy Kuchar's name on it, and the other one had
Terry Merchant.
Terry Merchant's name. So I called Calvin and went back to my office and I said, I think I found the baseballs that you're talking about, and I told him the names. And he was very excited, and he said, I'll be at school tonight at 6 o'clock. And I said, well, I'm staying for the girls' modified game, but I have to leave about 5. So I gave the baseballs to Calvin, and he still has the interoffice envelope that I gave him, and he wanted to get those baseballs back to the rightful owners, at least to Terry Merchant, who's back in the area. So this is really important to me in such a way that I am the middle school principal, and this is history that we have locally that we should know about. But as I said earlier, I went to St. John's High School, and our school obviously closed, for those people that know, and it was torn down for some college housing. And before it was closed, the trophies were basically from St. John's were given away to students as they exited the building. And before me and after me, much like John had said, there was great teams at St. John's. And I definitely don't want that to happen here at Champlain. I'd like to see that these trophies be put to their rightful owner or on display to the rightful place where people can recognize the success that the Champlain high school had years and years ago. So I think we have quite a bit of history here, and I think at that I'd like to turn it back over to John.
John?
Tom, you mentioned something about finding a place or where to put the trophies. Why not here? I mean, it's a graduation, it's a ascension of what happened to our schools. And I think the rightful place is here, if you can find a suitable place for it. I mean, I don't know whether Celine Paquette would be interested. She might be, but I think the rightful place is here.
Of course, Northeastern Clinton wins a ton of awards each year. They got such fine programs that this could be a landfill of memorabilia, which is pretty impossible
look at
too.
the 4 schools that were involved. Ross's Point, St. Mary's, Altona, Moore, 5. Champlain. Altona was is now part of our Northeastern. Little bit. It's not all in Northern Adirondack.
Route 191.
A little bit here, right?
Route 191.
This guy knows.
Yep.
And the other thing I was going to say, Tom, was, do you know who stored these here? Did Brian nicely bring them to the school? Brian Dumanel?
Well, the only thing I can tell you, by taking the boxes, taking the trophies out of the boxes, and by looking at the newspapers that they were wrapped in 1982, some of them, and some of them were wrapped in like 85 or 86.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if Rick Frisbee, who maybe was the athletic director at the time, or perhaps somebody wanted, like you said, there are abundance of trophies, but that's a challenge I'll take on about finding a rightful place for these here, that we could probably do something to make a small trophy case for the most valuable ones. I think that would be appropriate. We have one that I just talked about off air with Calvin that's unbelievable from 1930 that's got a story within itself. But yes, I think that's a challenge we could probably look into.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, John, but space-wise, that's why everybody's going to technology to get rid of paper storage. There's no room.
This is a time to go backward. We all want to go forward. You know, there's so many sayings that come out that I wish people would get rid of for one day, and one of them is going forward. Let's remember what happened and make note of that and have some physical evidence of it.
We're doing that. That's why Calvin's doing all this taping.
All right.
But I'd like to make one comment about the balls. Tom found 2 balls, and Calvin emailed the picture of them to me. And I said, Calvin, there were 3 balls. And he says, what do you mean, 3 balls? Well, there were one that Gary Muller hit a home run to win the CCIL, that's Clinton County Interscholastic championship in 1963. There was another one that Randy Kuchar pitched in that same game, a no-hitter. And there was another ball that Terry Merchant, who was a catcher for Champlain Central School, hit on top of the elementary school roof. And he did that twice that season. And I always say Terry hit 2 home runs on top of the school, and they were the only 2 hits he had the whole season. But I can't remember if that's factual or not. But Terry, when he got hold of one, it was gone. So lo and behold, Tom came up with the 3rd ball. And I happened to have been the high school coach, baseball coach at the time. And I wrote the writing on these balls that Dr. John is holding is my handwriting. And Tom Brandell here on my left is holding a picture of, I think it was a 1966 yearbook of Randy Kuchar. The yearbook was in memoriam to Randy, who was killed tragically in an automobile accident following his graduation from high school. Randy was an outstanding left-handed pitcher. Had him for his 4 years of play, and he never lost a high school game. He won every game that he pitched in high school. And this ball that Dr. John is holding was the last ball that was used in a no-hit, no-run game that he pitched on May 21st, 1963. That same game, Gary Muller hit a home run to win the game 1-0. And Dr. John is holding that ball now. And in the other yearbook, we have a picture of Gary Muller. And this is Gary Muller right here. If you can see this, so you can zero in, Calvin.
Nobody will recognize this person there.
No, he's too young looking.
That's John, obviously.
That was, well, how many years ago? 50 some odd years ago. And Gary Muller is, there was another picture of him, yeah, right down here in this corner.
He was a freshman.
He was just a young boy and a great athlete, good basketball player as well as baseball player. Gary played the outfield, and he also did some pitching. The other ball was hit over the elementary school, on the elementary school roof. This was in 1964. He hit 2 that year. Oh, the writing on the ball says second home run ball hit on top of school roof in Champlain by Terry Merchant in 1964. As I said, he hit 2 that season. And here's a picture of Terry Merchant. Dr. John, I think maybe if you drop the ball a little bit, yeah, there's Terry Merchant right there. And Terry Merchant married and had children, and one of his boys turned out to be an outstanding baseball player. What was his name? Jamie Merchant.
UVM.
He played for UVM and played a little professional ball. So those are the 3 balls, and that's amazing how, 63 is 37, 40, almost 50 years ago that this all came back to us. And as Dr. John says, yeah, let's go back and check out some of the things that happened in the past.
Is it still too early to tell Buddy Willett?
You can tell the story now.
I think Buddy Willett hit at least 3 home runs on that school.
Not only did he hit him on the school,
He
but
hit
he
the
hit
school.
him off the school.
Yeah,
And
many times, yep.
I was at many of those games.
Yeah.
And how many went through the windows?
Well, that's that's for Norbert and I to figure out.
Yeah, all that glass was on that side of the school, and he took a lot of those windows out over the years.
Yep.
So I think maybe we'll have a look at some of this, some of the trophies now, and this one that Tom is holding is quite interesting. Actually, it was an outstanding student award, and I noticed something with this award. As I said a little while ago, that after the 1956 school year, after graduation in 1956, there was a vote to amalgamate Rouse's Point and Champlain together, and that was called Champlain Central School until they merged with Moores, and then it became Northeastern. However, in between, after that, too, you got to remember that we assumed St. Mary's when St. Mary's closed. So this school was quite as Dr. John mentioned, a lot of territory, Moores and a little bit of Altona, St. Mary's, Rouse's Point, Champlain, all into Northeastern now.
Let me ask you this, John. Sorry to interrupt.
No problem.
Have you been happy with the name Northeastern Central School? Why couldn't we have taken all these school names and put them together? Somebody would be bright enough to come up with a name that would identify each community rather than Northeastern. That's just my opinion. Too late. Shouldn't even mention it. Controversy over with.
Yeah, I think when it happened, the name just got thrown out there pretty quickly, Northeastern, because we're in the northeastern section of the county.
Sure, yeah.
Northern Adirondack, the names just all of a sudden picked up the press one morning, and that's when I found out what the name of the school was. I'm now working for Northeastern Clinton. But I think that, it was done pretty quickly without a whole lot of thought maybe, but those days are gone forever. But as I said, the school as Champlain Central, the last year was 1956. The last year for Rouse's Point Elementary was 1950. Rouse's Point High School was 1956 alone. Then they were Champlain Central. So the students in 56, 57, 58, 59, 59 stayed in their own school. They went to school in Rouse's Point, they went to school in Champlain. They played sports together, one-act play or whatever, together. But the academics, they were in their own school. In 1959, this school was readied, and everybody came to this school. So the first graduating class here was 1960.
Let me interrupt once more.
Yep.
Was your father on the board at that time?
Yes, he was.
My father was too, shortly before that. No.
Yep. We have yearbook pictures to show that. But I noticed that in 55, this young lady, Norma Pelkey, she later became Norma Barcombe.
Still is.
Barcomb's Furniture, still is. I was in 55. 1956 was my name. However,
He quickly got through that one, didn't he?
However-
He didn't want to linger on that name.
Don't know how he got on this thing.
Oh, I do.
In 57, there were two students representing 57. Why? Because you had two different buildings and no politics were played. Pick a student from, this is an outstanding student award. So they picked an outstanding student from Champlain School and one from Rouse's Point School. Champlain School is Brian Yakey and Rouse's Point School is Sylvia Newton. Same thing in 58.
Tell the people who Sylvia Newton is.
Go ahead.
You do it.
No, you do it.
I don't.
I don't remember.
I don't either.
We'll have to check that out.
We'll have to.
Brenda
Yep.
Clark.
Okay, the next one was
And I saw
Brenda Clark.
Barnes.
Okay, Brenda Jolliker.
Yeah, Jonathan.
Brenda
Jolliker now, yes.
Arm's length.
Yeah, and she was representing Champlain. And Mary Cannon,
Right.
that's Biz Cannon,
Mhm.
Art Cannon's daughter,
Right.
and Art Cannon's sister, Art Jr. And then in 59, Elaine Vance, she married Brian Yakey. And by the way, Brian Yakey was the 57 award winner, and he married Elaine Vance, 59-year award winner. And in Champlain, it was Gary Stone, who was Rita Stone and Ralph and Rita's son, became a teacher. In 59. Now, in 1960, 59 and 60 school year, we were all together again, so they only picked one award winner. Didn't have to play the politics anymore because it was one school. Linda Sifford won it. Linda's mom was a nurse here for
Margaret.
100 years.
Well,
Worked-
95 anyway. Yeah.
Worked a lot with you
Yes,
because you were
yes.
the school doctor.
I worked with her.
Yes.
She ran the show.
She was a powerful lady.
She was very powerful, but a good, excellent nurse, and a person, knew the students.
Absolutely.
Knew the family.
Yep.
And just an excellent, couldn't have a better representation of
Absolutely.
the medical profession in the school.
And if there was a problem with a child, she knew if there was a home
Right.
problem. She knew the basis of whatever happened. She was very well.
She didn't have to go to the
person.
welfare department or the public
Absolutely.
health department to know what was going on.
Yeah.
She knew.
And at Christmas time, when I was in a Kiwanis Club at the time, we'd hand out Christmas baskets to the needy. She knew who they were. She just gave us a list, and we did it. So anyway, on and on and on. Then every year there was one award winner after Northeastern Clinton or Champlain Central became one school. So I don't know if you want to go through all those. By the way, this trophy was presented by the International Association of Machinists, which was the union at Sheridan Iron Works, and they were very
sad loss.
another loss. We don't want to think back to
No,
those days.
no, but I do, unfortunately, or
Absolutely.
whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it's at one time, again, I want to talk about memories. I mean, what employment we had here. The border, Sheridan Iron, the ski factory.
Right.
Of course, Eris was a
Right.
big employer, and now,
Harris
McKenna
McKenna
and
and
Harrison.
Harrison, yeah.
Yep. And we had Delagar, and there was plenty of employment. Now it seems to be taken away from us. Okay, I think what we're going to do now is just show some of these trophies and plaques very quickly, so you can see what Tom Brandel found in that storeroom. We always wondered what happened to all of these trophies. And we were told at one time, an answer that I received was that they were taken to the dump. I couldn't believe it. But then I said, gee, what are they going to do with them all? But great that Tom found them, and we can have this little get-together and talk about some of this old memorabilia. Doc, what have you got there?
I got the 1951-52 CCIL champion basketball. And the reason I brought this out, it says John Zerlo, assistant manager. And the only year they ever had an assistant manager, because they didn't want to leave John out. But who was, John, Jack Bayshard, I won't call him John, Jack Bayshard, Gerald Pelkey, no longer with us, Robert Chevalier, Maurice Perrier, Scott Yake, no longer with us, Roy Guyette, active and alert and around, David McRae, still with us, Richard Hawks, Dick Hawks, Clayton LaPointe, no longer with us, and H.N. Rusak, coach.
Yeah, Harry Ann Rusak. And the job of an assistant manager was carry the ball bag and to be the gopher,
All right, okay.
do this, do that. This is one little bit later. What year is that, John?
1965, second place, Plattsburgh Holiday Festival.
That was a basketball
Yep.
trophy. This was the 1948-49 junior varsity. I'm going to talk about this one. Junior varsity championship, 1948 and 49. The first name on this trophy is that of our illustrious Dr. John Southwick. And Dr. John was the captain of this championship team. And if you want to look at some of your buddies
I
on
remember
there,
them all,
oh,
yeah.
I'm sure you do.
If you don't get to the next year I was... Oh, okay, sure.
This is yours?
Yep. George Aubry, there we go. Duke Coulombe,
Passed away.
Donald Emery, Morris Coulombe, passed, Ray Kenny, John Landry, Dick Rusak, Harvey Smith, Dick Wooten, and the cheerleaders,
Go ahead.
Jonah Bood, Helen Ashline, Veronica Ashline, Claudette Bayshard, and Dorothy Wooten.
And there were two boys on there, if I remember. I was just a young fellow, but I think they came over from Rouse's Point.
Yeah, that's right,
John Landry and Ray Kenny.
that's right. Mhm.
I don't know why they did, but they came that year to Champlain
And
Central.
also, they didn't mention, I think, that Sammy Gross was a cheerleader.
Yes.
And the first time I remember, and I don't know afterward for quite a while, that there was a man-boy cheerleader.
He was, he was early.
Yep, that's right.
Now they have men
Right.
cheerleaders all over the place.
Right, what you got here?
It's a golf trophy. What year is that? Rouse's Point, I think.
1940-41, Ross's Point High School.
Wow, North Country League golf
League,
trophy.
No names.
No names. And that looks like a music trophy.
Yeah, Champlain Central, Guy Patnode vocalist. Plattsburgh Elks TV Talent Show, Youth Activity Committee, 1962.
Here's a bowling trophy which lost its plaque. And that's a JV, that's in the mid-60s. That's relatively new.
JV champion.
64?
Here's,
64, 65.
Oh, okay.
Sorry,
here's an old one.
get too fast here. Clinton County League Junior Varsity Trophy, won by Rosses Point High School, 1939.
And that's a youth, that's another Elks Award.
Elks Award, 1956.
Maggie Irving
My-
won that. She was a student at Rouse's Point.
Now, was
Evelyn
that-
Irving, Evelyn and Dick.
Dick Irving,
Evelyn and Dick.
Cannonball Dick
Cannonball
Irving.
Dick, great
Yeah.
pitcher in his day.
Oh, my goodness,
And his
yeah.
mom ran the Evelyn Irving
The dancing school, yep.
Yeah, and we had a review. She put on a review every year for the Teachers Association, in which we raised some funds for the scholarship committee.
CCIL Varsity Basketball Championship, 1948-49. Bob Aboud, manager. Harry Rusak, of course, coach. Dick Badette, captain. Dick Bayshard, Leo Schweenor, Chudley Fozier, Donald Guiguer, Sammy Gross, Marshall Maynard, Bud Willett, Norbert Yakey, and the cheerleaders, Joan Aboud, Helen Ashline, Veronica Ashline, Claudette Bayshard, and Dorothy Wooten.
Here's another one from the 40s. This was a sectional championship in baseball.
Champlain Central School, 1949.
I don't know what this is, nothing indicated on it.
Whatever was on the top has been removed.
Murder weapon.
Oh, yes.
Relatively new, in the 70s.
Clinton County Public Speaking, boys first place. Steve Craig Smith, 1971-72.
This is a plaque that National Honor Society put out for an outstanding teacher award, and the students would get to vote. And Charlie Niles won that several years in a row. That's the father of attorney John Niles on Cornelia Street in Plattsburgh.
Wonderful teacher and a wonderful person.
Absolutely.
Charles Niles,
Yep.
1959-60, 1960-61, 1961-62, all Charles Niles.
Yeah, wonderful man. I was honored to be asked to be a pallbearer at his funeral.
The top. I think that's the top of that trophy.
Yeah, I think you have the top of this, John. But
I'll show you the trophy. Read what's on it, maybe. If there is anything. Is there anything on it? Nothing on it?
Down below.
Okay. Don't want to lose the top, too. This is from 1962-63, CCIL champion baseball. Steve Ashline, Billy Aubry, Mike Bernard was the manager, Jim Chenvert, Randy Kuchar, Greg Duquette, Roy Hebert, Brian Juno, Bill Lemieux, Terry Merchant, Gary Miller, and Charlie. Was that Charlie?
Charlie Niles?
I thought, I'm trying to think of, who am I losing here?
Well, Charlie and John were both
Yeah, okay.
members. You didn't mention
And
the
John Niles.
You didn't mention the coach there.
The coach was John Cirillo. See, he was hidden down here. They put the border, the wood border above it to obliterate his
the
name.
players were more important. Just like Boston. Players are more important than Terry Francona, I guess, right?
Let's not go there.
And that was, by the way, that trophy was awarded to us in conjunction with that baseball that you saw earlier.
Yeah.
Trophy was won because Gary Muller hit the home run and Randy Kuchar pitched the no-hitter.
No-hitter.
And we beat Shazy 1-0. And Shazy had a wonderful pitcher too, I might mention. His name was Robin Brown. And Robin was an outstanding pitcher, as was Randy. And they battled that night. It was a wonderful game, and we won 1-0.
CCIL One Act Play Award, second place. I think it was mine because I should have been first place. No.
You were a speaker, I remember. This was later on. I think that was a play.
CCIL one-act play, third place, 1962-63, The Valiant. Hugh Goodhart, James Muller, Susan Willett, Larry Conover, Clarence Castine, Sam, Ron Boyce, and director was Charlie Niles.
I still remember.
You do?
Only the coward dies. I can't remember, but the valiant only die once. Something like that along those lines.
Now this I know a little about because I was the newspaper advisor. The newspaper was called the Clarion back in the early 60s. And this plaque was awarded to Mary Jane Morgan for the best use of artwork that year in a newspaper. And we would submit those newspapers to the Empire State School Press Association, and they would judge. And Mary Jane from this school won Best Use of Artwork, which was a great honor, because that was a statewide award.
Let me ask you this, John. When was art taught in school? Because it wasn't in my time. We had home economics, we had music, but I don't remember any art classes.
No, art...
I wouldn't have been part of it anyway, but...
Art started here, and I think when Moores merged with Champlain,
Okay.
because I can remember Irene Burnell was the art teacher.
Oh, yes.
I can't remember an art teacher before that. I might be wrong, but Irene was a wonderful art teacher.
There's so many magnificent families in our area, and that the Brunels were
Yep.
one of them, right?
Absolutely.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, Culbert was so civic-minded with the Knights
Yeah,
of Columbus.
Right.
There's the Rouse's Point, because they were in the Franklin League. That was
Public speaking,
public
first
speaking.
place.
Yeah, Franklin. That's Rouse's Point.
1951-52.
Rouse's Point played in the Franklin League, and Champlain played in the CCIL, the Clinton County Interscholastic League. And that's, I don't know where that's 54-55, and I have no idea.
North
what
Country
school.
League, first place, one-act play.
Don't know. National Science Teachers Association, I don't know. Champlain Central School.
Champlain Central School, and we do a lot about sports, but we should do something about the teaching profession too, that helped us all to whatever we became, right?
That's true.
Yes. Champlain Central School, National Science Teachers Association Corporation with Champlain Central School, and in recognition of the ever-increasing importance of science in the lives of all people, and in recognition of the key role of the science teacher in providing science education for all youth and producing tomorrow's scientists, hereby establishes an accredited chapter of the Future Scientists of America. And this was dated December 1962.
And the teacher that probably was most responsible for helping those students was John Rowe, who still lives on Oak Street,
Yes.
one of your neighbors.
Mhm.
John was there during that time period. Excellent science teacher. This trophy
He's a
means...
great neighbor, too. If I
Great
have to go
neighbor.
get an old car or
Absolutely.
something, he'll follow me if my trailer lights don't work.
Super guy.
Yep.
Yeah, always very cooperative. This means a little to me, too, because I served as Northeastern's golf coach and Champlain Central's for many years, and this was the section champion trophy that we won in 1965. We won the league championship as well as the section championship, and we had several of our players go on to Cornell to participate in the state tournament. This is another baseball,
Baseball, doesn't it? Yeah.
64, 65.
CCIL champions.
Well, you know, I can't take credit for this one. 64, 65, I left whoever coached that year a great team. But 64, 65, I took a year off and worked on my master's degree. I went to Albany, lived in Albany that school year, 64, 65, and I can't remember who the coach was that replaced me that year, but I have to take credit for leaving him some fine talent.
You don't remember that I did it? No, I'm sure not.
I'm just kidding. He must have been
I
a
know,
great
I know,
coach.
right.
First place, CCIL, was donated by the local KFC. Looks like a basketball trophy. This one, I don't know.
This CCIL Social Studies Quiz, first place, 1962-63, Nancy C. Taylor and David Walker.
Yep. They used to have a social studies
There's
quiz.
another great family, the Walker family. You know.
Yep.
Neil is still here, and Mary is still here.
That's a different Walker family, though.
No, that's,
That's it, David.
Oh, I'm sorry,
David
I thought it was
yeah,
Nancy,
no.
because it was a Walker family in Rouse's Point.
Yeah.
Oh,
This is
absolutely,
David,
David,
yeah.
sure,
Yeah.
that was Jesse and Stella.
Stella, my first nurse. If there ever was anybody that worked 25 hours a day, it was Stella Walker.
Florence
What?
Friedenberg Memorial Award starts in 59 and 60. Another neighbor of yours won in 59, 60.
Oh, yeah, Jim Kennedy.
Yep.
read them out.
Jim Kennedy, 59-60. Carol Van Heusen, 63-64. Andrea Lynn Kelly, 67-68. I should go down this way, I will now. Alex Miller, 60-61. Who's he?
From Moores, I believe.
Oh, that's right, okay. Charles Stone, 61-62. James Howard Jr., 62-63.
James Howard Jr. became a high school principal. Tom knows him very well.
Walton Vance, 64-65. Tom McNulty, 65-62. Mary Jo Marr, 66-67. And Edward McNulty, 68-69.
And that was was that Florence Friedenberg?
Yes,
Florence Friedenberg, it was a Florence Friedenberg Memorial Award. That was the Literary Club, I
yes,
think.
yes.
Terry Polino, she came over from St. Mary's when we assumed St. Mary's when they closed, and Terry was a outstanding speaker, public speaker, and she won that in 1970.
CCIL Public Speaking Girl, first place, Terry Polino, 69-70. Are we allowed to interject? Her father was a veterinarian, worked
Absolutely.
at the border.
Yep.
And I told him one time that the trucks that were, at that time, they were processing cattle and other animals through the border on Oak Street. And these truck drivers would come down Oak Street like this. And he said to me, tell me who they are, and I'll make sure they wait at least a day to make their cattle processed properly, and we'll see if they want to hurry. And they never hurried after that. He was quite a guy, too.
He was a great
Oh,
guy,
gee.
great Quanian. I was in Quantas with Doc Polino.
CCIL Social Studies Quiz, second place, Elaine Vance, Bob LaFountain.
Robert LaFountain, yeah, Bobby LaFountain, he
1958, I'm sorry.
LaFontaine.
LaFontaine.
Bob was a teacher in this system. He was an elementary school teacher in Rouse's Point for years. Still stops in to see me in my office quite often.
And for those who don't know the different pronunciation, LaFontaine, it's two capitals, L and then F, both capitalized.
Time.
Okay, this is Section 7, 1969 champions. And obviously had to be baseball, even
No,
though the
that's
bat
golf.
is broken off.
No, that's golf.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's golf.
That was
Sorry
one of
about
my
that.
teams.
Oh, sorry about that. Never played a game, so I don't know much about it. This must be obviously a music contest, and who else but the Carney brothers, Champlain Central School, Elks TV talent show, Plattsburgh, 1967.
Yeah, they were
great.
singers, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
And there's some people on here that you know. This was a play.
CCIL one-act play, second place, 1961-62, The Death of the Hired Man.
Yeah, your neighbor,
Yeah.
John
Cass,
Kennedy.
Warren, John Kennedy. Yeah.
And
Jim's brother.
Jim's brother.
Yeah, yeah.
And Charlie Stone is there, another neighbor of
Mary,
yours.
Beverly Hoyt, Nancy Kelly, and Charlie Stone.
Charlie
With the
Stone.
director, Charles Niles.
Yeah.
Should have been like,
Oh, okay. It's like when Bob did mine, I grabbed the drop lamp and was talking into the drop light rather than the microphone. That's all right. Here's CCIL Social Studies Quiz, 1966-67, first place, Lawrence Westover and Lynn Jefferson.
We don't know what this is because it's broken. This is a soccer championship.
CCIL champions soccer, 64-65, no names.
You'll appreciate this one, John. I don't know what it is because it's broken, but look at the year.
Champion, Section 7, New York State, what's PH?
New York State Public High School Athletic Association.
Thank you.
Class
Class C,
C. We were-
1948-49, Champlain High School. Of what? I've got a trophy like that with the top broken off, too.
Well, maybe you ought to take that one and put the two together and you'll have one.
No, they'll still be with us.
We were, as that trophy said, Class C.
Yeah.
We were, in Champlain, we were Class C. It depended upon how many students you had in your high school. And I can remember we had 65 students in our high school. That's grades 9 through 12, 65 students. Now they have double that in one class.
We had 19, and that was the largest class ever in 1950.
Yeah, there were 10 in my class of 56.
CCIL, public speaking, boys, second place, 1961-62, Hugh Goodhart. Obviously basketball. CCIL champions, JV basketball, 62-63. No names.
There's an old one.
St. Mary's Invitational Tournament, won by Ross's Point High School, 1944.
Let's see.
CCIL champions, 69 and 70 baseball. No names.
And
The
broken
top.
off. We have some parts back here, but we don't know where they go. What is this one?
Third annual Moore's Snowball Champion.
Basketball.
Basketball. Yeah, snowball, huh? 1975. I'm yelling. Shouldn't yell. Joanne says I talk too loud.
Oh, I can remember this.
Oh.
This was, we had majorettes, and you know who the advisor was of the majorettes? Marilyn Valenzi.
I'll be darned.
Yep. David Valenzi's mom,
This was third place.
and Leanne Valenzi's mom.
Third place team, Marjorie. Majorette Division.
Yep.
Utica, 1962. That's loose.
This is 1953. I don't know, it looks like a soccer ball.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a soccer championship, 1953.
Section 7, Class C, Champlain Central School, 1953 champion.
Well, that was
No
a
names.
section champion.
Yep.
Yeah, when you won those sectional championships, the section never put the names on it. There's a public speaking.
CCIL, Public Speaking, girls, second place, 1961-62,
You know, this
Carol
is-
A. Morrison.
You familiar with that name, Calvin?
Joshua Fanuff, please come to the office. Joshua Fanuff.
Go ahead, keep going.
Go ahead, finish it off.
No, keep going. I'll just give this to my sister-in-law.
Yep. Another one that's headless. Section 7, Class C, 1949-1950, Champlain High School.
You don't know what it is. These are all seem to be broken off.
49 and 50, so that had to be basketball, wouldn't be soccer, wouldn't be baseball, because it would be only part of a year. For soccer, would have been just the 49. If it were baseball, it would just be 50, so it had to be basketball, right?
Probably. Yeah, you're right. Have to be the winter season.
It could be
Could-
cheerleading, too, right? They didn't have cheerleading contests back then, no.
Well, there was no, what was it, Calvin, Title 11?
NC,
Whatever, yeah.
Title 11 that allowed girls to play interscholastic sports.
Wrong one now. What title is it?
Title IX.
Title 9, Title 9.
NCBL. What's NCBL? Baseball league? No, it can't be, because it's 50-50
North Country-
basketball.
And we
North
don't
Country
know.
Basketball League, JV champion, 1950-51.
Badminton.
1971 headless contest. No, I'm sorry. Holiday Festival, second place.
There's a bowler.
Don't see many, do we?
Well, we won bowling championships, and Norm Bonner was a very successful bowling coach here at Northeastern for years.
No
That
year.
has nothing on it.
No.
Either does this one. And look who's, this is Calvin's friend here.
Bob Venn, Church Street, Box 157, Champlain, New York.
Trophies
Trophies
and
and
awards.
awards.
So he made
Just
that-
Did you see his program? I watch all of those old ones. Son of a gun.
And that was when Bob was in the trophy business. Again, nothing here. It's a basketball trophy. We're almost done, so don't get too bored.
They can turn it off.
Public speaking.
We won't turn it off. We'll keep going. First place, public speaking, Champlain Valley League, 1972.
There's a bowling trophy.
Bowling trophy, CWTL.
Girls.
High triple, 80-81. Hey, we're getting up here.
Public speaking.
Second place, Champlain Valley League Public Speaking, 1972.
Here's another snowball basketball tournament.
First annual, 1972 Moores Snowball, fourth place. Well, there were only 4 teams in the in the whole tournament, but that's all right.
Another bowling trophy. These are girls' trophies.
CWTL High Triple with handicap, 77 and 78. When did they start using handicap? Both in golf and in bowling. I never remember that when I was a kid. You either did it or you didn't.
They did in bowling. They did not in golf. Golf, you played scratch.
Yeah.
You would match the players up by ability. For example, School A and School B. Number 1 golfer was the best from both schools. Number 2 was the next best.
Yeah.
We're down through 6. Played 6 players.
Like they do with tennis. Well, but golf too now.
And golf and tennis. You're right. There's no handicap. It's just match talent.
This is an interesting trophy. NCCS Spirit Week, 1971.
Must have been won by a class that maybe showed the most spirit that week. You know, Monday.
In class or outside or
they-
combination?
like, for example, on
Jerry?
Monday you would wear something maroon, on Tuesday you'd wear something else.
Gray and maroon, right?
Well, it's
Third
good.
annual NCCS Tourney Basketball, 1972. Doesn't say whether there was any champion or what
I don't know
place.
about this either. This is a soccer tournament, soccer trophy, but no name. This is different.
1976 Clinton County Conservation Education Field Days Essay Contest. Second place essays, NCCS Champlain, won by Sally Forkey.
Yep.
Plaque donated by Shazy Lyons.
Sally works for CVPH now. That's another basketball trophy.
Fourth place CYO Basketball League, 1971.
The only thing we can determine here that the trophy was made by Bob Venn. Nothing else is there.
He'd
Wait a minute.
He'd have the record.
Yes, he would.
Dan, what does that say? Dan
M.A.
Blanchard?
Can't make it out. Can't make it out.
Most honest player on the team. Didn't that say that?
Was that you, Doc?
All right.
And this last trophy, you grab that one, John.
Wow.
Calvin knows the story on this one.
This was a trophy that was donated by,
You want to, go ahead.
it was a Champlain Merchants Cup. And this was given to each school who won. It was given in 1930, and according to Calvin, everyone who won the trophy, it was a track meet, and whoever won the trophy kept it for a school year, brought it back, and they kept giving it to different schools as they won.
After you won it so many times,
You could keep
you
it.
got it.
Do you know where the field was, where they had the track meets? I've been trying to find that. There was a field, and it was one of the farms. I don't think it was in the village. I think it was outside. They had horse racing, and they had track meets.
Was it where the drive-in was, Northway Drive-In, and where the Transborder is now? Or-
I don't think so. I think
UPS?
it was, I don't know. I don't know.
Because that was some kind of a track back there.
It's quite off the beaten path, but there used to be a track up by the overpass in Coopersville. Before that overpass was put in, look at the old maps, you can see a track through there. It might have been horse racing at that time.
Yeah.
So that's all the memorabilia. There are a lot of yearbooks. It's quite a lot of nostalgia took place this morning. But there's a lot of yearbooks here, and according to middle school principal Tom Brandell, that they're going to try to find a little spot for some of the ones that are determined to be most important, and they're going to put them on the little trophy case as you enter the high school, or the junior high school. Now, there's one that won't be there because Calvin's going to take it to his sister-in-law, Carol Morrison, who was an outstanding student as well as a good public speaker. So, Tom, I guess we're going to wind it up, and thank you very much for uncovering this material. It certainly brings back a lot of fond memories for me. It's going to bring, especially with those baseballs, because that was a big part of my life back in the early 60s. And I can remember arriving at school that evening after the game because there was a PTA meeting in which I had to attend, and I arrived a little bit late because of the baseball game, but I was so happy I pulled those balls out of my pocket and said, I'm late because we just won the high school championship. Here's the ball that was no hit ball by Randy and the home run ball by Gary, and if you didn't find these and Calvin didn't get involved, this never would have happened, and we're going to try to get those balls back to the person who hit them or pitched them. But Doc, thanks a lot for coming. I know you're very, very busy.
No, I'm not very, very busy. I've got things that I have to do.
Well, you've been whispering that you had to go home. Get this done.
I had an easy life. I never had to make decisions except for patients when I saw them. I didn't have to make any business decisions in the office. I had a wonderful staff that did it, and I've certainly not had to make any decisions at home. So one decision at home, get home. But no, I've been blessed. I guess we all have, many ways. And I've been so fortunate over the years, have family that I've had. Well, I'm not going to go on to that.
Yeah,
Thanks,
absolutely,
Tom.
absolutely.
You know, you should get, if the Kiwanis Club did it, Citizen of the Year for uncovering all this.
Absolutely,
Hey,
he should
great.
get some award for this.
I've had a
Maybe
lot of
on the graduation stage, or the old timers, we should make a little presentation to
Yes,
Tom
that's down-
on the graduation
Okay,
stage.
good,
Yeah.
good.
Thanks for uncovering some good memories for us. Calvin, thanks a lot for organizing this little program. I hope people aren't too bored with it, but I think that those of you who went to school back in the 40s and 50s and 60s probably would get a lot out of this. I know the young people in the 90s and the 2000s probably won't appreciate it so much, but when you see things, you young people see things in 2040 and 50, you're going to like to see things in 2010 and 11 as well, like we're liking to see things back in the 40s and 50s and 60s. So thank you, Calvin. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Doc. And keep watching Hometown Cable.